Hello, travelers! I'm Akob, and welcome to What Do I Think About Wednesday? This is the first episode in a series where I talk about what I think about something, which today happens to be the new champion, or relatively new at least, Jhin, the AD carry in League of Legends. Jhin the Virtuoso. He is an AD carry with some very special mechanics where he has a set attack speed, and he has 4 bullets, and then every 4th bullet has sort of a red marking and deals percent missing health damage. And it gives you movement speed and everything. It's a crazy setup for the champion. So why do I want to talk about Jhin in particular? Well, it's because he hasn't been out that long, but since I tried him the first time, I fell in love with that champion immediately, and it became my favorite champion just like that. So, what is it that I like about Jhin? His character and this entire setting around him being an artist, and everything he says and the way he looks, it's just so well done. It just really fits and is really, I love his visual style, how he looks. All of his emote spams I find to be really great. And his playstyle, the way that he moves back and forth, and you can snipe from long range, and you have to be aware, and you have to set things up around you, and then you can really do some crazy things with this champion. It's just, everything about the champion just screams cool. I guess I just really like this idea of him being an artist, and really making art out of playing as him. I love it. It's great. And also, I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I've learned playing Jhin. I haven't been playing him for that long, but I have gained some experiences by now playing him, and I would like to share that with you. If you're anywhere near gold or above, this might not be interesting to you. I don't know. Since I am a gold player, I was gold last season, I just got to gold again after my qualification round just placed me at silver, and I just played my way back up pretty fast. So, I'm a gold player, I've been in gold 1, and so that's where I'm coming from. But I have had some experiences with him, though. I thought initially, or not initially, I played some games, and then I realized that his ultimate could be used from far away so that you were safe. However, that gave me a tendency of whenever there was a team fight, I would ult immediately and stand at a safe distance and just fire. However, my shots obviously didn't do any damage to the tanks, so therefore I was pretty much useless, didn't contribute much. So unless my team were really powerful without me, we would lose. Because Jhin has very powerful shots, just his basic attacks in general are very powerful because he has such high AD. Plus his crowd control and his dancing grenade and his E, everything about Jhin where he's just running around the enemy with his mobility from his shots and then dealing tons of damage with his missing health shots onto the enemies. That is really powerful, but I lack that because I always use the ultimate first. So I eventually learned that that was the wrong way to go about it. You have to go into the fight. So where does his ult really come in handy? It's really good for picking off enemies. So if you have a pick team comb with a support like Blitzcrank, he works incredibly well because the enemy can't escape. Like you can use your ultimate to slow down the enemies from far away and your team can catch up to them. Or if they're low health, even just slightly above half health, you can actually kill the enemy, which is something you have to realize. So you can, for example, punish your bot lane quite easily, or kill a jungler who's trying to run away now. So your ult is really good for picking off enemies, or cleaning up after fights. That's where I find it to be really good. Or if you can use it to be safe as the AD carry and to deal very good damage, especially against squishy targets, if it's a fight where you already have the advantage, like a 4v2 or possibly a 4v3, depending on the teams and so on. So, that's what I've learned about the ultimate so far. And also, you just have to love his W. The long range snare, that is ridiculous on an AD carry. Like, what is that? He really feels as if he's just made to pick off champions with comms kind of centered around that. And as to his build, I found something interesting with Jhin, which is as long as you're building sort of AD, you can pretty much build anything on this champion. Like, for example, I tried building Trinity Force first item in ranked games, and that went well. He had a week early until he got the Trinity Force, but then he was totally on par. Then he just was a beast as usual. You can start out IE, you can start the Reaver, you can even build armor penetration first item. So, what can't you do with your build? It's a bad idea I've found, in general, to build attack speed first. That I tried building stuff like Static Shiv or Phantom Dancer first, and while it's nice with the mobility, it's just your damage is not enough, and it makes it a little harder to farm with the Dancing Grenade and everything. So it's way preferable to always just go for the AD, since you don't get the attack speed anyway. You only get the crit, and you get crit anyway with the item like Infinity Edge, where you also get tons of damage. So really, it's hardly a discussion. Just always start out with a good foundation of an AD item, and then you can build something like Static Shift for the crit and the staticness, the thunder lightning thing that it does. And also on Jhin, I mentioned it with the ultimate, you have to be very aware when you're playing Jhin about your surroundings, because if you go into ultimate and all of a sudden you realize, oh my god, there's a Shyvana coming from behind or from the side, you're screwed because you have no escape. You only have your snare, and that doesn't help you very much if your entire team is engaged in a fight. So you really need to be able to understand, or at least have some idea at all times of where are the enemies, where could I get attacked from. It's not always easy, especially if you don't have vision, but it's something to keep in mind. Not to position yourself in vulnerable positions and set up your ultimate at the wrong times in the wrong places, because then you will just die, and then, your team and you as well are not going to be happy. And last but not least, I've learned something about the lanes, which is that he has kind of a hard time versus sustain lanes, meaning a lane like Nami or Soraka, because he's very, very powerful in his poke, but if you fire a fourth shot and that damage is just healed right away, especially on Nami, who can deal damage to you and then heal as well, which is super annoying. It's kind of hard to ever get that kill, and that can be really frustrating. So basically, in those lanes, it might be a good idea to try and see if you can kill them, and if you can't, then just farm. Just try and get the most out of the lane phase as you can. With your jungler, however, you can set up really powerful ganks. That's I do want to say, because Jhin is really powerful with his snare on the W. So it is tremendous if your jungler ganks the bot lane a lot. But it's so easy to get a flash rate heal if it's a jungler, especially if you have a CC heavy support or jungler. If it's a Vi, for example, who can just jump in. Then you can snare them and they'll have to flash or heal, and if they then return gank, pretty much a safe kill if you just hit your W. So, sustain lanes can be an issue, but you can play around it with the jungler, or you can just farm your way through it. And also, I found one support to be a real annoying one, which is Alistar. He really ruins my laning phase if I'm playing Jhin, because I can't get to poke at all. Because if I go a little too forward, he will just jump me, and I get punished way more than I want to. So, Alistar, you need to be very cautious in lane, and not overextend, and not try to do too much to poke. I mean, obviously, if you get ahead so that you can just punish him for being too forward, without really getting caught out, then that might work. But I found that to be very challenging playing against Alistar. And, obviously Sivir can be annoying, especially with the sustain lanes, because it's even harder to poke her, right? With the grenade and everything, she just blocks it for more mana, so. But overall, those were my thoughts on Jhin. I really do love this champion. I love everything about how he's designed, how you play him. Overall, he's just really powerful, he looks cool, he feels cool, and there are so many different ways you can play him, and that ult. Let's just end it with that. That ult feels like a freaking minigame. It is awesome. It is so funny. Plus, here at the end, let's call it shameless promotion, I don't know. But I would recommend you to watch my latest Random Leak Moments video, the third one in the series, because it's about Jhin. And there I have a shot on my ultimate, the last shot, where I actually kill a Jinx with 2/3 of her health. And I only had 2 items. I wasn't like fed insanely or anything. 2 items and I killed her with about 2/3 of her health. It's ridiculous. Awesome video. I hope you've enjoyed this. I have, and I guess I'll just see you on the roads. Have a good day, guys.